about if we listen to some Christmas stories? Does that sound good? The first one is the Norway spruce. It was our first Christmas in our little cabin, and the mountain air was sweet with holiday spirit. Our enthusiasm soared when my husband's extended family accepted our invitation to stay at our cabin and spend Christmas Eve and Christmas with all of us. Even though money was tight, we made every cent count in order to host an unforgettable occasion. At the craft store, I found a sales remnant sprinkled with holly, leaves, and berries, enough to sew a festive tablecloth. I bought miniature stockings for everyone, along with tiny treasures to stuff inside. Shopping the sales, we filled the refrigerator and freezer in advance. I made candy and cookies and loaves of sweet bread so that we had plenty of goodies to eat, plus enough to send home with our company. Each family member, including my brother-in-law's dog, would have a homemade present under the tree. All we needed was a tree. We drove down the mountain to the quaint town of Woodstock and visited several tree lots, but couldn't find the right one. Across the road, my husband spotted the local nursery and suggested we check them out. Of course, the nursery had a nice choice of trees, but they cost considerably more than the trees we had seen earlier, deservedly so. Winding through the paths of cut conifers, we inhaled the glorious essence of pine that saturated the air. Suddenly, my husband gasped. "Look," he squealed, "they've got live trees." Now, my husband was a certified conifer-loving tree nut, but unfortunately, the live trees wore price tags that were way out of our budget. As he stroked a lush Norway spruce, I knew my husband had landed in tree heaven. It was a beautiful tree for planting in the yard, but I didn't think it looked much like a true Christmas tree. After a quick glance at the price, my mouth flew open. "We can't afford this," I reminded him. "Think of our first Christmas tree growing next to our cabin for the rest of our lives," my husband said in a dreamy tone. "A tree we can enjoy the entire year. A tree that brings back all the sweet memories of spending our first Christmas at our cabin with my family." Nothing I said changed my husband's mind, and so with great trepidation on my part, we bought the tree. The nursery's owner handled our transaction and gave us instructions on the tree's care. The spruce could only stay indoors for a few days, and then we needed to plant it right away. I'll admit I felt disheartened about wasting money for a tree we couldn't bring indoors and immediately decorate or enjoy throughout the holidays. As instructed, we cared for our tree outside. However, a week before Christmas, we experienced unusually balmy temperatures, and our tree started to droop. Even though the tree had no warranty, we headed to the nursery hoping the owner might replace it. Unfortunately, he had sold out of live trees. The owner urged us to go home and plant our tree. If we did, he felt certain it would survive. He also insisted that we pick out a beautiful white pine to take home at no extra charge. Grateful for the replacement tree, we thanked him for his generosity and headed home. I'll admit I had grown attached to the spruce and looked forward to finally bringing it indoors, but mostly my heart ached for my husband. Now the expensive tree of his dreams would spend Christmas outside. Judging from the tree's appearance, we had little hope. Still, we planted it in a spot where we could view the spruce from inside our cabin, and much to our surprise and delight, it perked up shortly after Christmas. Whoever thought my husband's dreamy sales pitch would come true? The following Christmas and every Christmas after that, we dressed our outdoor tree in colorful lights until we could no longer reach the tree's top. Now, 23 years later, our Norway spruce towers over our cabin. From our Norway room, named in honor of our beloved tree, we have a spectacular view. Throughout the years, the tree has grown up with our family, and we can't imagine our place without it. We have enjoyed the spruce's majestic beauty through every season, but especially during the winter, when its lush green branches are blanketed in fluffy snow. The scene is breathtaking. As far as those first family Christmas memories that my husband envisioned, when we bought the tree. We got memories, all right. His entire clan canceled on us that Christmas Eve morning, and so we packed the presents and children and drove 2 hours to spend Christmas at his parents' home. Today, when we gaze at our magnificent tree, we find ourselves reminiscing about the fun and anticipation we felt that first Christmas and can't help but chuckle over how our grand plans fell through. But we've never forgotten the nursery owner's kindness and feel grateful that he encouraged us to plant and save the tree.
'Twas the night before Christmas. I was working the overnight shift as a nurse in a 12-bed hospice home. Lynn, the nursing assistant working with me, had been instructed by our supervisor to get the facility Christmas tree out and decorated for all the patients to enjoy when they were stable. Thankful all of our patients were resting comfortably, so Lynn set out to make our workplace festive for the holiday season. After a busy start to my shift, assessing patients and administering medication, I sat down in front of the computer to complete the most dreadful task of nursing, charting. But my charting was soon interrupted by the sound of glass shattering in the dining room. A co-worker and I hurriedly jumped out of our chairs to the nurse's station to see what was going on. Since it was 4 a.m., we weren't expecting to find a patient or family member in the dining room, and it was too early in the kitchen staff to be there. So that left only one possibility. My suspicions were confirmed when I rounded the corner and found my beloved nursing assistant sprawled on the floor beside the fallen Christmas tree that she had nearly finished decorating. Thankfully, Lynn was not hurt, but being the jokester, she closed her eyes, held her mouth open, and threw her arms back in dramatic effect. We all burst into hysterical laughter. Once we caught our breath, my coworker and I helped Lynn to her feet. Then we all stood in disbelief, examining the destruction before us. I don't recall why or how the tree fell, but there it lay on the floor, along with hundreds of pieces of red, green, and white glass, remnants of shattered ornaments. Before returning to the tree to its upright position, we asked Lynn to lay back down and pose for the camera, reenacting her priceless expressions. Then we righted the tree and began cleaning up the mess. Being tired often leads to the giggles, so with this occurring towards the end of our 12-hour shift, we were all vulnerable to sporadic bouts of laughter for the remainder of the morning. How nice and refreshing it was to cut up and laugh in an environment that is normally filled with so much sadness. After I finished giving my patients their 6 a.m. medication and wrapped up all of my charting, I decided to do something to commemorate this night. One of my coworkers and I were sure to never forget. Since I'm a writer who has enjoyed writing poetry since I was 10 years old, I thought it would be fitting to write a funny rendition of The Night Before Christmas to recount our story. I only had time to come up with a few lines before the end of the shift, but I posted what I wrote on Facebook, along with the photo of Lynn on the floor beside the fallen tree. I told my coworkers I had to surprise them on Facebook and enjoyed watching their reactions when they saw the post. We shared a few more laughs and we ended up getting many likes and comments on Facebook. Later, when I had more time, I wrote the following lengthy version. It might be a little cheesy, but I believe it summarizes one of the funniest Christmas memories ever. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the hospice house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung in the lobby with care in hopes that St. Nicholas would soon be there. The patients were nestled up snug in their beds with visions of angels dancing in their heads. My nursing assistant, Lynn, had been as helpful as can be, so I settled in to chart while she decorated the Christmas tree. But at 4 a.m. there rose such a clatter, then I sprang from my chair to see what was the matter. Away in the dining room I flew like a flash to find Lynn on the floor, the Christmas tree crashed. I offered a hand without hesitation, thinking this was the scene from Christmas Vacation. Then what to my watering eyes showed a pair, but the whole night shift staff hunched over in tears. On Dasher, on Ashley, on Lynn and Blixen. Before Santa could come here, this tree needs fixing. Shards of red glass covered the floor all the way to the hall. Now sweep away, sweep away, sweep away all. The rest of the night there was an ache in my belly for bouts of laughter making it jiggle like jelly. What a blessing to shed tears that were happy, not sad, and report to the day shift what a fun night we had. By the end of the shift there wasn't a trace of a mess. The place was nice and festive, and we all felt blessed. Together we finished decorating the tree in the Christmas spirit, our hearts full of glee. Leaving work that morning with the sun shining bright, my soul was full, my heart happy and light. So as I got into my car and drove out of sight, I shouted, Merry Christmas to all, 'twas all a good night.
Mary and Joseph traveled to Bethlehem. There was no room, so they had to go to a stable. They had the baby Jesus in a manger. The angels sang to the shepherds. The wise men